This story explodes with one brutal truth right out of the gate. One quiet no from Ed Sheeran just ripped the mask off an entire Hollywood illusion, and Meghan Markle did not see it coming. Everyone heard the silence after that rejection, not the polite kind. The kind that screams, the kind that tells you something went very wrong behind closed doors. Because when one of the most powerful, respected musicians on the planet shuts the door, not slams it, not argues, just calmly closes it, that's not bad timing, that's judgment. Let's rewind, because this didn't happen in a vacuum. This wasn't random, this was years in the making. Ed Sheeran isn't just some name in Prince Harry's phone. He's one of the last remaining links to Harry's old life, the real one, before California, before contracts, before confessionals. A genuine friendship. No cameras, no scripts, no agenda. Just laughter, music, and a rare sense of normalcy Harry clung to when everything else felt staged. And then Meghan stepped in. According to people who know exactly how this went down, Meghan didn't ask Harry to reach out. She didn't float the idea. She didn't pause. She went directly to Ed, carrying a glossy vision for Invictus that looked less like a tribute to veterans and more like a spotlight with her name etched into it. And here's where the temperature changes. Ed's team saw it immediately. The framing, the positioning, the emphasis. This wasn't about wounded warriors. This wasn't about service. This was about visibility. Hers. Let that sit for a second. Invictus is sacred to Harry. It's the one thing he built that wasn't borrowed, sold, or spun. And suddenly, someone else was trying to reshape it without him even knowing. Ed didn't hesitate. He didn't negotiate. He didn't counteroffer. He declined. Politely, professionally, permanently. That no didn't just bruise egos. It detonated something far deeper. Because this wasn't just a celebrity passing on a gig. This was a friend choosing boundaries. This was a signal. And everyone in Hollywood heard it loud and clear. What makes this sting is that Meghan reportedly assumed the answer would be yes. Why wouldn't she? For years, doors opened just because of proximity to royalty. Names alone moved mountains. But that era is over, and this rejection proved it. Ed Sheeran doesn't need exposure. He doesn't need validation. And he definitely doesn't need controversy orbiting his name. His brand is trust, warmth, authenticity, the very qualities people now question when the Sussex name enters the room. And that's the part nobody wants to say out loud. This wasn't about Ed being busy. This was about Ed choosing not to touch a situation that felt off. His team allegedly flagged it as misaligned, overly controlled, and dangerously close to turning a veterans event into a personal stage. That decision landed like a grenade back in Montecito. Meghan, by all accounts, was stunned. Not angry at first, confused, as if rejection wasn't even on the menu, as if the idea that someone could say no simply hadn't crossed her mind. Harry's reaction was very different. He reportedly found out after the rejection. Imagine that moment. Learning your wife pitched your oldest friend without telling you. Learning that friend declined. Learning that something precious to you might now feel awkward, or worse, compromised. That's not just embarrassing, that's destabilizing. People close to Harry say this hit him where it hurts most, his shrinking circle. Every year since leaving the UK, that circle has tightened, friends faded, family fractured, connections cooled. Ed was one of the few constants. And suddenly, even that felt fragile. Hollywood noticed too. Because Ed isn't alone. He's just the latest domino. The pattern is impossible to ignore now. Big names, quiet exits, calls not returned, invitations that never arrive. Once upon a time, A-listers lined up to be seen with the Sussexes. Now, silence, distance, strategic disengagement. The problem isn't personality, it's risk. No one wants to be pulled into the Sussex gravity well, where every collaboration becomes a headline, every appearance sparks debate, and every association comes with baggage. Ed's team understands optics better than most. They saw the direction. They chose clarity over chaos. And in doing so, they exposed something uncomfortable. There's a growing belief in entertainment circles that Meghan doesn't build relationships, she deploys them. That every connection is a tool, every moment a lever. Whether that's fair or not, perception is reality in this industry, and that perception is spreading. Harry, meanwhile, is reportedly stuck in the middle, watching his past dissolve while struggling to defend a present that keeps producing friction. People close to him describe a man exhausted by damage control, haunted by second guesses, quietly grieving a life he can't return to, and a future that feels increasingly uncertain. And then there's the marriage. Because when one partner moves independently, controls narratives, and repurposes personal bonds without consent, tension isn't a possibility. It's inevitable. This rejection didn't cause the cracks. It illuminated them. It forced questions that can't be unasked. Who leads? Who decides? Whose relationships are whose? And at what point does ambition cross into overreach? Ed Sheeran didn't answer those questions with words. He answered them with absence, and sometimes that's the loudest answer of all. And here's the part nobody in Montecito once whispered out loud, but everyone already is. Ed's no didn't just close the door. It confirmed a pattern that Hollywood had been quietly tracking for years. Because when someone like Ed Sheeran backs away, it's never impulsive. It's never petty. It's calculated, discussed, weighed, and approved by people whose entire job is to smell disaster before it hits the headlines. And in this case, they didn't smell opportunity. They smelled exposure. Behind the scenes, word spread fast. Faster than press releases, faster than spin. Industry people talk, and when they do, they talk in code. Complicated, sensitive, not the right fit. Translated? Proceed at your own risk. That risk is now attached to one name more than the other. Harry still gets sympathy, quiet sympathy, but real. People see him as a man who gave up everything and didn't get what he was promised in return. They remember the version of him before the bitterness, before the interviews, before the endless need to explain himself. There's still warmth there, still hesitation before judgment. Meghan, however, triggers a different response entirely. Executives don't describe her as difficult. They describe her as transactional, strategic, calculated, always positioning, always branding, always moving the spotlight 3 inches closer to herself, no matter the context. And that's the fatal flaw. Hollywood loves ambition, but it despises desperation disguised as purpose. And lately, too many Sussex ventures feel exactly like that. Big launches, big promises. And then, nothing. Staff quietly leaving, projects quietly dissolving, initiatives quietly abandoned when the applause isn't loud enough. Ed's team allegedly clocked that instantly. They didn't see Invictus as a mission in the proposal. They saw a moment, a photo, a headline, and worse, a future headline they'd rather not be part of. Because here's the brutal reality. Anything involving the Sussexes becomes about the Sussexes, not the cause, not the event, not the people it's meant to serve. The story always circles back, and Ed Sheeran's brand is built on the exact opposite of that energy. So he stepped away. And the fallout has been savage. Sources say Harry has been trying to do damage control quietly. No announcements, no statements, just personal outreach. The problem? Every attempt forces him into an impossible position. Apologize, and he confirms wrongdoing. Defend, and he risks losing one of the last friends who never wanted anything from him. That internal conflict is eating at him. People close to Harry describe a man unraveling in small, invisible ways. Less laughter, less spontaneity, more isolation, more late-night pacing, more staring at his phone without calling anyone. California was supposed to be freedom. Instead, it's become a gilded bubble with very thin walls. And Meghan? She's reportedly unmoved. Insiders say she sees Ed's rejection not as a warning, but as a missed opportunity. His missed opportunity. In her mind, the vision is sound, the critics are wrong, the results just haven't caught up yet. That kind of thinking is powerful and dangerous because it leaves no room for accountability. And accountability is exactly what this moment demands. This isn't just about one singer declining one appearance. It's about a shrinking circle, a collapsing myth, and a growing realization that royal proximity doesn't equal influence anymore. That name recognition doesn't guarantee loyalty. That people are no longer afraid to say no. The most painful part for Harry is that this is happening to the one thing he still believes in, Invictus. Not the deals, not the documentaries, not the speeches, this. And now even that feels vulnerable. If Invictus becomes associated with ego instead of honor, with spotlight instead of sacrifice, it loses its soul. Harry knows that. Deep down, it terrifies him. Because once that's gone, what's left? A brand with diminishing returns, a foundation struggling to justify its existence, a marriage strained by control and resentment, and a man who burned bridges so thoroughly that rebuilding feels impossible. Hollywood has already adjusted, quietly, strategically. Invitations stopped coming. Names stopped attaching themselves. The phone still rings, just not from the people who matter. Ed Sheeran's silence after the rejection spoke louder than any statement ever could. No leaks. No shade, just distance. And distance, in this town, is a verdict. The Sussex story was supposed to be about reinvention, about escape, about building something bigger and better than what they left behind. Instead, it's becoming a cautionary tale about overreach, miscalculation, and the danger of confusing attention with respect. The question now isn't whether Ed made the right call. The question is whether Harry can still recognize when someone else does. Because every no from here on out will echo louder than the last, and eventually, there may be no one left to ask.